Hi there, listener. You're about to experience TADPOG. Tyler and Dave play old games, and there will be plenty of game talk, but also copious amounts of crude, off-color, offensive, and immature speech. So if you are of a rather sensitive humor constitution, we're just letting you know what you're in for with this show. It has games. It has jokes. You know, just games and jokes. Take the games, take the jokes, and have a good time.
Hello, Internet. Welcome to another TADPOG podcast. It's a show that happens twice a week where two old guys take another guy and ask him very personal questions about his personal life. Personal questions about his personal life. Rarely. Most of the time we play games. I guess this is sort of a game. Sort of a Saw-esque game we're playing with Sandwich Pope Phil Hawkins today for the interview of Sandwich Pope Phil Hawkins.
It's like Tadpog After Dark.
Yeah. Matt, that's not a place you want to be. If like regular Tadpog is daytime hours, after dark, that's just like watching Cool World.
The truth is we just needed 50 more cents. So.
Although we did, I don't know if he wants us to mention him by name, but we got a message saying,
we're gonna.
if I throw in more money to the Patreon for this month, will you do Mighty Number 9 this month? Yeah, sure. That is one way to get us to very quickly do just about any game.
Yeah, significant bump.
Yeah, a significant
bump in donation. So yeah, we'll talk about that game. We all have a price. Ours is low.
Because we're over 200 for this month. That makes my brain feel much better. So yeah.
We find out that you guys can be bought very easily.
Very
Absolutely.
easily.
You remember the beginning of the show where it's like, we're just gonna do this for fun. We're not really worried about money or anything. We don't ever want to be corrupted by the evilness of that is the dollar. And then, here we are.
We're more like Bernie Sanders. We'll take the money from the little people, just not the big corporations, until we actually get money offered by a big corporation.
Concept is like, hey, when you guys talk about Mighty Number 9, we'll give you $4,000.
All right, well, anybody have any stories or anything interesting before we get down to this just Frost versus Nixon-esque interview?
No.
I'm also going to go with a no.
Okay. Meg did buy us something to try, Dave.
Okay.
These are Kettle Brand, one of our favorite brands, potato chips.
Yeah.
Maple bacon
flavored Kettle Brand potato chips.
I think they're going to be terrible.
I think they'll probably be terrible too.
Because I did not like bacon until I went on my keto diet, and that is when I developed a taste where I think bacon's okay. It's still not something I ever really seek out.
I'm not one of the people that likes my bacon in maple syrup.
Because bacon, I'll eat bacon, but I have to make it. I've never had bacon out at a restaurant and be like, yeah, that was good. That was a good decision. Mm-hmm. That was a good way to spend $4.
Your face is all greasy.
Oh.
Yeah.
You're a sausage man at breakfast restaurants.
Yes, I do much prefer sausage.
So important question, though. Do you like your bacon crunchy or soft?
I like it a little softer.
I'm a crispy man. How about you, Phil?
Nice and flaccid for me.
See, I'm used to my mom. I didn't know you could make bacon in a skillet to fry it or anything. I was exclusively used to my mom cook bacon the same way almost my entire life.
Paper towels in a pan.
Yeah, paper towels on a paper plate in the microwave.
Oh, in the microwave.
So I guess I'm used to just bacon that still looks somewhat translucent and is very chewy.
Yeah.
Just meat gum.
Yeah. That's what I thought. I thought bacon is supposed to be when you bite into a BLT, the bacon stretches like gum until it bites off. However, my brother loves bacon, and she would always fry it for him in a pan.
He's just being trendy, I think, right?
He was
just because
way ahead of the trend there.
Bacon's super popular. He was just
The only trend I'm on board with food-wise lately is sriracha.
Sriracha? Yeah, that's kind of an old trend even.
But, I mean, I liked sriracha, before it was super mainstream. I'm a sriracha hipster.
You're a hot sauce hipster.
Because of culinary school.
Yeah.
And
Back
John
when-
Turley. John Turley was the one who introduced Sriracha to me.
Yeah.
So, and that was years and years and years ago.
Probably like 12 years ago.
That was back when Chipotle was the hot flavor of the month.
You are 100% correct. And I don't like the smokiness of Chipotle, period.
Yeah,
I
it's
think I
okay.
mentioned that before.
Yeah.
I'm going to try this chip.
All right. I'm with you. Phil, do you have any Ruffles you could eat?
I don't. I have a mason jar full of water so I don't cough on mic.
I do not
Tastes
like
like
that one
water.
bit.
Yeah, it's not horrible.
I'm all for sweet and savory. I like the combination. But I guess in a chip, I don't want a sweet component in a potato chip.
No?
That's why I haven't even tried the cappuccino or anything like that. Like, if I'm eating a potato chip, I want it fucking spicy. That's about it.
Now, what brand is this that you guys are having?
Kettle brand.
It's good.
Brand.
Out of everything I've ever tried kettle brand wise, I don't like these, and I'm not crazy about the salt and pepper ones that taste like oranges. Other than that, everything I've tried that they have made is amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, they're pretty good. It took me a while to come around to kettle chips. I didn't like them at first.
But I'm chasing it with a Strongbow hard apple cider honey.
Is that from Nicole's gift? Are you still waiting on my gin? So you can make
Oh.
more mixers.
Yeah, I'm still waiting on that.
Yeah. Yeah. So that segment's done. Because it's gonna be a while before I bring gin.
I'll go get those two little the miniature bottles of gin from a
You wanna
liquor store.
You wanna do our first YouTube video where we make bathtub gin?
Yeah, I think that'd be awesome.
Do you think Meister Wiley knows how to make bathtub gin?
If he doesn't, he's the only person we could go to that
They can find out for us.
tell us how to do it, and then do it in a way that doesn't make us go blind.
Right. Yeah.
The mustache says he knows how to make bathtub gin.
I mean, he brews a lot of beer and mead, and I think he's done wine. Like, he's good at brewing.
Yeah.
So, because he made a ton of mead for the cabin weekend one year. Like, I think he made like several gallons, and it hardly got touched. But go ahead and chase this down real quick. This taste of my mouth.
Not a great chip. Have you tried the spicy Thai kettle brand?
Yeah,
chip?
I was disappointed by those.
Oh yeah, no good.
They're
huh?
not bad, but they still have a little bit of the sweet to it. So did the red curry.
How about the backyard barbecue?
Have not had those.
Okay.
Because strictly now it's like, if I'm going to choose a barbecue barbecue chip, I'm going barbecue bake lay.
Yeah.
So, all right, and now, Phil.
Me.
Are you ready for this?
Not really. I only have 6 pages of notes this time.
Could you give us your Phil? Could you give us your full Phil name?
My full Phil name, like show title and everything, or just my actual legally binding
Your
name?
actual legally binding name.
Philip Jackson Hawkins.
What do you do for a living, Phil?
I am a journalist. More specifically, I am the sports reporter for a weekly newspaper in Woodburn, Oregon, and pretty much cover high school athletics.
What is the most famous thing that Woodburn has contributed to the world?
Oh my goodness, so many.
3 pages of notes are just about that.
Yeah. When was your civic center constructed, Phil? In Woodburn.
Phil, I hope this is what all your notes are about, because we're mostly going to ask you about like the town. Who's the mayor in the town you live in?
How many local parks do you have?
Well, the mayor is Miss Kathy Figley. I know that.
Okay.
That's a fun name.
Most famous, I believe there is someone from Woodburn who climbed Mount Everest. There is
Okay.
one of the street names that's named after her. I think Woodburn is I think it's the second most popular tourist attraction in the state of Oregon, because it's got this gigantic outlet mall right off the highway. So I think Crater Lake is the most popular tourist attraction. Woodburn is number 2.
All right.
All right. Well, next
got-
time I need to buy some big boy jeans.
Yeah. You need to get stopped by the Banana Republic store. We got it.
To you, Phil, what is the definition of a gamer?
Oh, I got this one. Let me scroll down to my notes here. I got this one.
I've got a few gimmies for you.
Yeah. I've actually, you guys have asked this enough times on previous episodes. I've, gotten a chance to think of it before knowing I was going to be on the show. And I've always just kind of figured it's really up to the person. It's someone who considers themselves a gamer. Like, are you excited about gaming? Do you follow gaming news or participate or even just understand gaming culture? Like, I think it doesn't really matter what genre you prefer. That's just, I guess, different sects of gaming. And as long as you're enjoying it and participate in the gaming culture, I think that's what makes you a gamer.
So someone who just every year buys the latest MLB game and plays it occasionally in their spare time, would you consider that person a gamer?
I think so. I think if you're that dedicated to something, like what I was kind of using as my basis is mobile gaming. Is someone who exclusively just plays on their phone or on internet games, something like that, would they consider themselves a gamer? And I don't know. I mean, if you're someone who loves Angry Birds to death, and you only buy Angry Birds games, and you actually spend money on it though, and play it a whole bunch, and look forward to the future games coming out, you can kind of but then you're kind of bordering on the pay to win games and the ones that kind of hook you as a means to just get as much money out of you as possible. The Game of War type ones where it's just pay to win, and it can develop, dangerous habits. That probably not gaming, but it's I don't know. It's a very gray border between a gamer and not a gamer.
What if I strictly wear only Angry Birds apparel every day? Would you consider me a gamer then? I don't play the game. I just think the birds.
But you just
cute.
love the culture.
Yeah, I do love the Angry Birds.
You go to the parties. You wear the clothes.
I waited in line a week before the movie started.
Would that make you a gaming poser then? You have to, a wannabe?
Yeah.
I mean,
okay.
That's a thing I've never heard of before, but I'm sure exists.
Well, I'm sure every gamer girl that you see that is not holding the controller correctly or is holding an Xbox controller and Zelda is on the screen and then she's biting the wire or something like that while she smiles coyly. I guess that's sort of a poser.
She's emulating.
She's getting a paycheck.
But I mean, what about the 50-year-old mom who plays solitaire, and that's would she consider herself a gamer? Probably not. So
That's true.
But so you're saying that if someone considers himself a gamer, they're a gamer?
I think so.
Because I know,
so.
Brainy Gatsby is on level 1200 something in Candy Crush. Highest I've seen anybody get. That's pretty much all she plays. And she does not consider herself a gamer. But,
she's a gamer.
Yeah, but being at that level, it's I don't know about that.
So the definition needs to go beyond just, do you think you are a gamer? Because obviously she is, and she doesn't think she is, so.
So to be a gamer, you either have to think you're a gamer or the three of us think that you're a gamer.
I think so, yeah.
We're a good panel.
Okay, that's good.
You guys are poking holes in my shitty definition of gamer.
That's what I'm here for.
Do you think this the free-to-play style is the future of gaming?
I hope not. I think it is here to stay. I think it is like reality television, going to have an irreversible effect on the gaming culture, just like reality television had on just standard network TV. And it's not going to be the most dominant form of gaming entertainment, but it's going to be there, and it's always going to be available because it just makes so much money for the top pay-to-play games.
Because I watched a very good game theory about the future of MMOs, and it talking about because you see articles all over the place that the MMO is dying. World of Warcraft is at its lowest subscription ever. There are now a ton of defunct MMOs after it was a booming business. That, as opposed to, it's not dying, it's just transitioning into a new form, and that new form being free to play.
Yeah.
Because it went through, because he talked about MMOs being one of the older forms of gaming. As soon as before the internet was broad, there were like the local internet set up in various places that were only available like on sub-college campuses between like midnight and 6 a.m. or on the weekends. And like people would play these very limited like text MMOs and stuff like that together.
The muds and the mucks and all that. Mm-hmm.
So, and then it just evolved from that into being like where the internet was more, when the internet became more prominent, then it moved there, but it was also incredibly expensive, like $150 a month just to play this one game, and you were very limited in the time you were allowed to play it. And then it eventually transitioned into, once like those gaming companies broke away from the internet service providers, then they're sort of the monthly subscription that's a lot lower, and then now it's phasing into free to play. People just have a problem paying that monthly subscription for the game.
I think it's weird because when monthly subscriptions became a thing, I remember that being like a hurdle for me because it's like, man, I don't know if I want to pay $12 a month to play Final Fantasy 11. That seems ridiculous. And then I got used to it, and then so now it's normal. Now it's completely normal, and it's like to the point now where I'm amazed when I don't have to pay a subscription for a game that's online and has a world that's been developed. Crazy.
I read that just increasingly being the problem, and like now everything is moving into subscription, low charge, albeit, but everything is now moving to subscription based. Netflix, Hulu, Crunchyroll. You're cutting your big like monthly bills in lieu of this, and if you also have the MMO, like that's usually the first thing you're going to cut, because everything else has the more broad appeal.
Yeah.
So, honestly, it kind of reminds me of the pornography industry in that the old big MMOs are like, big, staged pornography, and in comes the free-to-play or pay-to-play games, the mobile games, which is kind of just floods the market with so much, kind of like how amateur pornography, like the accessibility of it on the internet has made just the well-produced stuff pretty much shrink into the background compared to what it was before. So it's putting it in words our listeners can understand.
Yeah.
So does Pornhub and all like the tube sites, are they exclusively advertising based?
No, they have subscription models.
Okay. Well, you can do subscription, right, for HD and
I don't know what
downloading video
what
and stuff
you get
like that.
because I think you like I don't know. You got to be really into porn if you want to pay for the free stuff. Right?
Yeah. So I don't
know. I don't know what you get.
Yeah. So I'm just like wondering, like, is this? I mean, clearly it's legal. I see like there being copyright claims and videos taken down, but
I think I would imagine it has to be like exclusive content or something, right?
Yeah,
it has to be.
Or I mean, how can they get away? I have no idea how it works. Yeah. None. I went into one of our local adult bookstores recently, looking at lingerie, and I saw a guy, roughly I think my age, went back to the large DVD section and just bought a huge stack of DVDs. And it blew my fucking mind because it's just like, do you not know? Or
did you time travel?
Are you like a Luddite? You're just like, no, this internet thing, no. I'm just like this. Give me this right here.
He's a purist.
So it's like I don't understand that, but okay.
The obvious benefit is there's no search history with the DVD. So if you feel the need to hide it from other people in the house that you live in, DVDs are a little bit easier.
Yeah, I get that, I guess. But then you have to like hide something physical.
That's true.
I mean, I guess you could peel off the cover of the DVD and put it somewhere in plain sight, and no one's probably going to pick it up. But
print off fake covers.
Yeah, you could really go that far with it.
I really feel like watching Mr. Holland's Opus tonight and open that up.
Man, why does Brian have so many copies of Christmas with the Cranks?
Or like what Josh and I did with that one VHS of weird pornography where we'd lift up because I had the waterbed that was incredibly heavy, but we'd both get up and pull up that corner, and so we could stick that cassette nearly in the middle of the bed because no one is going to like go through that much effort to get there unless they know it's there.
What was your guys' first VHS pornography? Do you remember?
That was my first one, but it was a weird compilation of Josh's brothers. The first thing I remember taking, because Leva and Jacob did not want it and thought it was gross, was a VHS called Wild Orgy 6. And there was even a misprint, so it was WILS Orgy 6 or something like that on the cassette. And it was pretty gross.
It was pretty wild.
There was one girl who did it for me, though, so I took that from them. And that was my freshman year of college.
Oh, man.
I don't think I ever owned any VHS porn other than what I just recorded off of Cinemax when my parents were asleep.
Yeah. Mine, it's kind of an interesting, sad story, but good as well. So my stepdad was a long-distance truck driver and, would go from Oregon to Texas or longer, so gone for, weeks at a time. And he died in a car wreck. And when we got his, cleared out his truck, bunch of VHS tapes. Most of it is all like I Love Lucy TV shows, just like before you could actually get big DVDs of TV shows. But amongst the VHS tapes were 3 pornos that were just gathered up with all the stuff and brought to the house. And, all the VHS tapes were put upstairs where my brother and I could just go through them and pick out which ones we want to keep and stuff. And we'd never seen porno before. And there's this, I'm probably 11 or 12 years old. My brother's around 14 or 15. And there's these tapes, and one of them says, like, Action Volume 10. Doesn't have any sort of description on it. Just Action Volume 10. We're like, what's this? We like action movies. Like, maybe it's like, a Schwarzenegger movie or a Van Damme movie. It's an action movie. So we put it in, and it's just mid-scene, 2 people just grinding the fuck out of each other. And I don't know, our eyes must have just gone wide, and I remember the panic of just like, holy shit, what the fuck? And just like stop it and kind of gather ourselves of this treasure that we have, and this becomes this tape, and there's 2 other ones that we just passed around to friends throughout the years, and just kind of all through high school, these 3 precious tapes came out of this awful situation of my stepdad's passing, but he in turn gave me my first pornography, which is just a nice, lovely ending to that.
God bless him.
I know.
4 volumes of I Love Lucy and 1 volume of I Really Love Lucy.
Man, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
I'd be pretty happy with that.
forget.
It's weird to think our generation is the last generation that will experience that.
Yeah.
That's not even for people like 5 years younger than us. It's not a thing for them. They don't have that's nothing they'll ever have to deal with or feel, or the excitement of having a treasure that you consider this tape of fucking to be treasure.
Yeah.
Or the magazine kept in a plastic bag under a dirt rock.
Yep.
And that was something like my neighbor across the street. We live out kind of in the country in the sticks, and he's got like a couple abandoned cars out in front of his house. One of them was just the entire trunk, this hatchback, filled with old magazines of Playboy and Hustler and Penthouse, and literally like hundreds and hundreds of these magazines just in the back of this old broken down like Honda Civic. And me and the neighbor and the other guy, the other neighbor, we'd all just go hang out, read some pornography. It's a weekend.
You made it sound very highbrow. Read some pornography.
I take some sherry over.
Yeah.
We Frasier style sit around.
Chad, look at this pornography.
Good God, Niles.
Niles gotta have it. So, Phil, do you consider yourself a gamer then?
Yeah, I do.
When did it start? Where did your love for gaming begin?
It was probably when I was around 4 or 5 or 6. I was trying to pinpoint it. It was during the Nintendo. I was born in '83, so Nintendo was.
I did not know you were older than me.
Yeah, I think I'm right in between you guys. But yeah, so I got a. No, I didn't get it. Excuse me. My brother actually, he was about 8 or 9, and he wanted a Nintendo. And we had an Atari at the house. It wasn't really anything that we played or liked. It had Pong on it, but wasn't great. But my brother wanted a Nintendo, and he was not the best student. Wasn't bad by any means, but had some behavior issues at school that my mom used as an incentive to get him behave well. She said she would give him a quarter per day if he behaves well at school. If the teacher wrote home a note saying that he had a good day, and he could take that quarter per day and put it towards buying a Nintendo system, and eventually. Right. He did. I think my mom may have actually paid off the rest, because that was back when Nintendos were, I think it was $100.
Yeah, I was about to say he was 24 when he got his Nintendo.
I asked my mom about it because you do the math, and it's like a quarter a day is $1.25 per week. Uh-huh. To raise $100, you're going to have to be working for 2 years, and I'm pretty sure he did not do that for 2 years. So she can't remember, but I think she must have, halfway there. So,
you are more than that fighting in the slave pits. So
yeah.
I caught up on Game of Thrones a few days ago, so I'm still in that mindset.
Funny thing is, though, is that I don't remember him being that enthusiastic about it. I think he got it and played it, and it didn't click with him, but it definitely did with me. Like, just for whatever reason, because it was Mario. I mean, you had Super Mario Brothers came with the system, and that was just such an addictive, fun experience that I'd never had before, and it just turned me into a gamer. And it started there, and I'm sure it was something that my parents were probably looking at it and being like, it's just a phase, and maybe he'll grow out of it. But no, never did. Just kind of grew and grew, and waiting for the Super Nintendo to come out and waiting for the N64 to come out and getting into computer games, and just kind of snowballed from there.
The original Super Mario Brothers was magical.
Yeah.
You talking about it, like, I remember the first time I played it over at a friend's house, and for like a good week, that's all I could think about. Like, I played the game for like 20 minutes, and then for a week I was at school drawing out Mario characters, Mario levels.
So did your brother really have any impact on you as a gamer? Do you have like good memories? Like, most people usually have their sibling influences, like the kind of games that they play, because maybe their parents would buy more multiplayer games for them to get along and do something. Or if you have any like memories with a parent or a family member, where a lot of people have like a bonding memory, of doing something together in that regard. Do you have anything like that?
No. My brother and I had a fairly adversarial relationship growing up that didn't really get to become like an actual loving brotherhood until he went to college. We fucking hated each other in elementary school and middle school.
Because you're still pretty close in age, so I know unless it's like a 5-year plus gap, that's basically what it's always like, a rivalry almost.
Yeah, I think he's 3.5 years older, and he's a little more aggressive and athletic, and I'm a little bit more easily dominated.
I threw Duck Hunt on the roof, bitch. Go get
it. I could always beat him at video games, and I usually end up getting friggin' punched for it. If we were playing co-op and I was beating him, he did not like it. So we didn't end up playing too much together after that. But no, I had a neighbor friend of mine who we pretty much, that was how we bonded, was just playing. From what I've heard from your episode, it's the equivalent of Josh Nance for you, Tyler. Just a guy that I can go over there and play and share games and look at magazines together and just watch while that person plays and then switch.
Josh and I did that with video games and pornography.
Yeah.
So is that, and Legos.
And sandwiches.
We would just switch, our special nachos we'd eat. Yeah, it's fine. We'd practice finger in tubs of caramel, saying it was girls that we liked. Yeah, just normal boy stuff.
He just wrote in Sharpie on the side the name of the girl.
I sincerely did that. It was so weird. Like I would practice. Like that's what I imagine a vagina felt like: a tub of cold caramel apple dip in like the big white container, and I would just put 2 fingers in there and go to town. Tell Josh what I'm doing, and Josh would observe. I think that would work. I think that'd be good.
Is that how you knew Meg was the one? Because every other girl didn't feel like that until she found the one person who felt like the tub.
And when I pulled my fingers out of her, my fingers stuck together. That's how I knew she was the one.
This is the one.
I'm going to dip apples in you. It's going to be so good.
You boys are gross.
Yep. All right, so Phil, what are because I'm sure you have copious amounts of research on this. So, top 5 favorite games/franchises.
That is a tough one, but yes, I do have copious amounts of notes on it. So, Diablo is one in the top 5, I think.
As the series or the first game?
The first 2. I mean, 3 was good. It just didn't hook me like 1 and 2 did. And I know, Tyler, I think Dave has said that you've been playing some Diablo 1 and haven't been like enamored with it.
I haven't yet. I have it,
No,
but I haven't started yet.
It was on the docket for us to play.
Yeah.
I imagine it's not going to be fun to go back and play because it's so stripped down and basic. There's no skill trees, and there's no story to it outside of the occasional tome you find out there.
No running.
I might like my Diablo like I like my bitches. Basic.
Caramel flavor.
Current slang.
But like back when it was, I think it came out in like 95 or 96, and all I had known, I wasn't a computer gamer. I was strictly a Nintendo fanboy, and seeing that game for the first time, and seeing an action role playing game like that was dark and brooding and had this really, really great atmosphere to it, was just like, I didn't know games could sound and look like that, and I didn't know you could, like, Diablo was a really, really good forerunner for online gaming because it came with Battle.net, and you could go online with other people and play the same game together and beat the same, and murder them. A lot of times you would get led down into the 16th level by someone a lot better than you, under the guise that they were going to help you, and then they would warp out of there right when Diablo came, and fucker.
Hey man, in my defense, I was influenced by all the satanic imagery.
And then Diablo 2 is just, I think it did everything that Diablo 1 did better. Bigger world, better character building, the skill tree, better story. And Diablo 3, I think it's fine. I think it just, whereas Diablo 2 moved up, I think Diablo 3 kind of moved laterally.
Maybe now it's a lateral move. I feel like it was kind of a step back at first.
Yeah, when they had the real money auction house and all that,
that was
a step back.
I was really disappointed with how much it took away your control over building a character, like putting stat points into your 4 stats and having a skill tree that you can level up, like them pretty much doing that automatically. It really took a lot of the fun out of it, and I didn't really feel any interest in being able to, play it. And I think it kind of flanderized the whole idea of making this a loot grab and power leveling game, which I hate loot based games and power leveling games where you get in there and the entire goal is not to experience it, but to get to that level cap as fast as possible so that you can get as much and better loot as you can. And yeah, I didn't find Diablo 3.
Does this item have your 1 stat on it? No, useless garbage. You can't progress with it.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I think one of my biggest complaints with Diablo 3 is, and I think it's honestly just the time that we live in, because like I remember when I was playing Diablo 1, and it's like, or any game from the early 90s where it's like I had the internet and like the web existed, but like there were very few web pages that were like dedicated to optimizing every single thing in a game. So like I remember when I was a kid where it's like I could just play a game and figure out my own way. But it like now as an adult, when I play like Diablo 3 and like I'm partying with somebody, I have to be like, I gotta do 1 spec, and it has the best spec. And if I don't have the best spec, I'm gonna get shit about it.
Yep.
Yeah, and I hate
Yeah.
that.
Yep.
And I was really annoyed with them making it an online game only and taking away the single player out of it. I'm definitely a solo campaign person versus a multiplayer when it comes to games.
Oh, you and me both. Absolutely 100%. Like local co-op, great.
Yeah.
Massive multiplayer, no. I so rarely have a good experience anytime I try to do a large multiplayer game. That's why like I played Resident Evil 5 for a little while, just like, man, this was such a waste of $40.
Just because everyone was awful to you? Or
Everyone
just
was awful,
in
and
general?
you just couldn't play through it solo. And
Yeah.
the AI was such garbage, and like you had to have a partner. And I didn't have like a keyboard or a headset for my PlayStation, so I mean, I guess I couldn't hear them flipping out, but like I just hear
That's good.
come on, and watch them emote angrily, and like people would drop, and just like, cause I couldn't play without somebody
Yeah.
else's help. And everybody else has already mastered the game. Why they're going through it again, I don't know.
Well, see, and that's honestly like I had a bad experience with Borderlands 2, and I feel like it's because like I got in on Borderlands 2 like so late. That's like
Yeah.
every game I got in, everyone knew what the fuck was going on, and it was just like, all right, let's do this. I'm like, I don't even know how to play. I just bought this game 20 minutes ago. Give me a second.
Yeah. Yeah, that's why,
That was
because I played through that solo, and then I started another mission with you and me and Blake played through some multiplayer,
and that was fun.
That was fun
because we kind of fucked around, and that was.
But
I
like you
that.
also like you would have had for us to do that and have fun, you had to have already played through it single player, because otherwise you don't have enough time to enjoy the story or know what's even like listen to what you're being told or progress through and explore. So.
Yeah. Same with Diablo 3, honestly, and Diablo 2, where it's like if you came in on those games like a week or two later and now you join in on some multiplayer, it's like no one gives a shit about the story again.
Yeah.
Like I think like 30% of the people give a shit about the story to begin with, let alone a second time. So it's just like fuck, skip cutscene. Let's go.
I guess the only multiplayer that I think was okay, just because I think everybody was pissed off about it, we were all there for the same reason, was Mass Effect 3. So it's like every single person's like, let's just get this done, let's just get these points, and we're all just going to quit.
Are you excited about
No one's enjoying this, let's just do it.
the new Mass Effect?
Sorta, I guess.
Yeah. So not really. I'm
mean-
picking up a general malaise about it.
Yeah, just because they really got me bad with that multiplayer. I didn't have as much. The ending didn't hurt me as badly as it did everybody else.
Yeah.
You know, it did suck, but at the same time, I wasn't like throwing my controller and ranting on the internet about it. So it's just like, oh man, that's weak. That's a weak place to leave a great series. But okay, fine. I just hated having to pay for Xbox Live Gold, having to do all of that, play for a few hours just to get the good ending.
Yeah.
I thought that was super shitty, and that alone is what soured me on the series a little bit. I'll play it. I mean, I'm not saying I'm not. I definitely will.
Yeah.
But I'm not like super jazzed about
Right.
it. I'm not
It's not like
pre-ordering.
Fallout.
I'm not.
Yeah.
Right.
Gotcha.
All right. So number 4, StarCraft, and I this was kind of coming off of the first 2 Warcraft games in Diablo. I had never really been interested in kind of the space genre of fantasy, but it was a Blizzard game when it came out, so and I was into real-time strategy games, so I picked it up, and I just think it was another great kind of revolutionary game that Blizzard did, where back then RTS games were like Warcraft or Command and Conquer, where it was 2 races, and anything more than that was just like it's unheard of. You have two different races, and that's it. And actually, just throwing in that third race seems like something small now, but like I think back then that really, really changed the landscape of the game, and having it so equal and balanced out, but having them all play completely differently from each other was just. It gave it an additional bit of complexity that I think really, really changed the genre. And, it obviously stayed popular for like 10 years after the fact until StarCraft 2 came out. And now StarCraft 2 is just, one of the premier esports. But yeah, I buy all of them when they come out.
Yeah. What do you think about the new ones?
They're fun. I end up, because I am a solo gamer, I end up buying them for the stories, and I'm a little disappointed, honestly. Like it's Blizzard, so it's awesome cutscenes and some fun gameplay, but the writing and the story leaves a little bit to be desired. I think it's a little bit childish and fairly like over the top in terms. It feels almost like a Saturday morning cartoon, and maybe that's what they're going for to keep it PG-13 or something. But just it felt a little bit too juvenile to be snooty about it for a game that was about this great big massive intergalactic combat.
Yeah.
So
I need to play more of that series. I'd like to, but I need to carve out some time to play some StarCraft.
yeah, Wings of Liberty, I think the first one of StarCraft 2 that came out, I think that's probably the best storyline.
Is that the Terran campaign?
Yeah. Let's see, next. Fallout is another one. And more the first two games than the latter two. I picked up Fallout. Fallout 1 was one of the first computer games that I played, and that was kind of my introduction to an RPG setting that wasn't Tolkien fantasy. I'd never really played a apocalyptic type role-playing game, and just the fact that it was turn-based combat, the leveling up system they had, the special system, and being able to increase all your different individual stats percentage-wise. Just great witty writing, good voice acting, kind of a somewhat open world. It was just a fantastic overall game. And then, just like Diablo 2, Fallout 2 was pretty much the same game, just a little bit more and a little bit better of everything.
I recently bought Wasteland really cheap on Steam.
Yeah.
I'm interested to see, because it's
One
a
or two?
precursor. The first one.
Okay, I bought that too. I played like 5 or 10 minutes of it, and it's for when it came out. Like, I think it came out in the 80s. It's really, there's so much to it, but because it came out in the 80s, like, the interface is so unnavigable. I couldn't play that much of it. Like, I wanted to, but I'm like, I've got games that can do this much better. I have Wasteland 2, which is a much better game, and I'd rather play that. But yeah, for how old of a game Wasteland is, the amount that it lets you do, it is an open world role playing game, which is kind of crazy for a 25, 30-year-old game.
How far are you into Fallout 4?
Not really. I played for 8 to 10 hours and put it down. And it's kind of the same problem I had with Fallout 3, and it's not really a problem, I guess. It's just this is not. I don't think this is a type of game that that hooks me. Kind of that first-person action role-playing game. I guess it's too action-oriented and not as much role-playing and turn-based.
Have you played New Vegas?
I played that a little bit. I've played every single Fallout game for about 8 to 10 hours, and then just kind of lost interest. So,
because I was reading on our Fallout and various other sources. So since you've played the other two, I'll run this by you. A lot of people, they're not talking a lot of shit about Fallout 4. Everybody generally seems to like Fallout 4. But their gripe is that the further Bethesda develops into Fallout, that they are falling into that action hole.
Yeah.
So they're getting farther and farther away from it. Fallout 4 being the worst about it so far. Because someone was putting up screenshots where they put that mod in that lets you see the full dialogue for all your choices.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And basically, once you see exactly what you're going to say, and you see so many of the choices just stacked up side by side, they're very rarely in the game do you have the option to say no or the option to do something different. Like, the game is, role-playing wise, extremely linear, and speech only comes in to, a few times you can talk your way out of a violent situation, or basically just to raise caps. So there's almost, they've increased the combat. If they were comparing Bethesda versus Obsidian, because Obsidian did New Vegas,
right.
And that what Bethesda does is they love to build a world, they make some lore, but they love the exploration and the combat, as opposed to Obsidian. Obsidian builds a story and a role-playing arc, and then builds the world around it. So the exploration and stuff like that is not as strong in an Obsidian game.
Yeah.
Because people were comparing a whole lot. And I agree, because I played the shit out of New Vegas. Like, you have a lot more option to role play and how you're going to deal with each faction and people in each faction and who you want to be in charge. There's
a lot to think about.
There's a lot more, to New Vegas.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, Man, yeah, they are. They are totally right, and I can very much see that. So,
yeah, and it's not that any of the Bethesda Fallout games are bad. I mean, they're obviously fantastic games. It's just I feel it's just a completely different game than the first two Fallouts, and I don't know. It just never really appealed to me as kind of an RPG fan. So,
But Fallout 1, that's specifically what you're listing, right?
1 and 2.
1 and 2.
Yeah.
Okay. I need to play those. Those are all isometric, right? And it's turn-based combat kind of deal.
so that's another $1 we can get out of Phil.
Yeah.
Yep. Next one on the list. So Baldur's Gate is another one. Notice a theme. These are all games that came out when I was in high school.
Yeah.
But this is kind of what introduced me to the world of D&D before I knew what D&D was. Just kind of this really big, giant, immersive fantasy world full of, kind of the intuitive and fun leveling up system that D&D has. Being able to recruit your own party and find party members, and it's got, again, great writing, good music, and just an incredible follow-up game in Baldur's Gate 2 that does everything that the first one did and just makes it better.
I love that series.
Yeah, and to me it shows that an upgraded graphics engine is not necessary for a game to be good. Like you hear the bitching about Fallout 4, how it's the same graphics engine as Fallout 3, but Final Fantasy 4 and Final Fantasy 6, like they didn't change the engine on that. It's the same graphics and it's still amazing games.
Yeah.
Fallout 1, Fallout 2, Baldur's Gate 1, Baldur's Gate 2, it's all just the same graphics engine. They just made the entire world and the entire system just 10 times better.
The Mega Mans, like the Mega Man engine didn't change. Like every NES
Even the new
Mega
ones
Man,
they're still doing,
right? So yeah.
So I bought Baldur's Gate 2 Enhanced Edition last time, so that's $1.50 we can get out of.
All right, awesome, man. I would love to talk about Baldur's Gate.
Yeah. Dave, did you ever play any of the Icewind Dale games?
No, I wanted to. I did Baldur's Gate 1 and 2, and then I kind of fell down a Blizzard gaming pit and didn't emerge to play anything else until like Neverwinter Nights came out. So I missed Icewind Dale 1 and 2, and I missed let's see, what was the Planescape? Planescape? Was that the name?
Planescape Torment.
Planescape Torment. Yeah, I missed that one too.
That was a pretty good one.
Yeah, I've always heard great things about that one. But
You're all about Neverwinter. Remember you playing that a whole lot.
Yeah, I love Neverwinter Nights and Neverwinter Nights 2. I used to actually get on Persistent Worlds, which were hosted, remotely, where someone would just build a world from scratch and then allow people to come in and play. I used to do that and have a lot of fun on those servers.
Yeah, and I ended up missing out on those games altogether. I remember when Neverwinter came out. I think it was because I didn't have a computer that could play them. So I saw these, great D&D based games come out right after Baldur's Gate did, and just sadly could not experience them. They
were fun. Saint Zach and I used to jump in one Persistent World, and it was cool because people. It's weird when people crafted this out of love, and you could tell that they really cared about what they were doing. It reminded me of, Tyler, when you were talking about the muds and mucks. It reminded me of that because it was kind of like this. It's all very lo-fi, but you can tell that the people doing it really cared about it, and that kind of gave it energy, and it made it a place where it's
passion makes a huge difference. Look at Link's Awakening. So
yeah.
Was that all 5, Phil? Do you have another one?
No, a fifth one, and surprising. I didn't think it would make it on here, but I just had such a good time with A Week of Garfield that it
yeah.
Goodbye, Heroes of Might and Magic. Hello, A Week of Garfield. But no, it is Heroes of Might and Magic. Have you guys ever played or heard of Heroes of Might and Magic?
I've heard of it. I haven't played it.
I have one of them over there that somebody gave me, but I've never played it. I know McElwain is a huge fan, but...
Do you know which one you have?
4?
Okay.
Maybe?
That's a good one. The company went bankrupt after 4 and was bought out by some Russian developer who took over the franchise and turned the whole thing, rendered it in 3D and completely, I think, just killed a lot of the flavor of it. But it's this really beautifully cartoonishly rendered fantasy 2D turn-based strategy game where you control 6 to 8 different races, and they all have a castle that you can build up different types of troops depending on that race. So wizards will have golems and storm giants and other magic casting, or warlocks might have more dragon and evil type creatures, and every single race has this this theme to it of either might combat based armies or magic based armies, and you go out on the battle plains on maps and collect resources that will then feed your cities and towns, and then build up armies. And the maps are filled with different quests and different magical items that you can use to augment your general, who controls your hero, who controls the troops on the field. And the better your hero is, the more damage or magic you can cast on the field. And it's one of those strategy games that does not age. Like, I think it's just as good now as it was 20 years ago. I think 3 is what is considered the best.
Is that your favorite?
I think 4 is my favorite. 4 is when you could actually play as the heroes themselves, the generals. And in the past, the generals just had a passive effect on the troops, whereas in 4 you could actually play with them among the troops and level them up, and you could actually run them to be your army if they got up a high enough level. So that was kind of a neat wrinkle for me.
So is the art style what gives it like a timeless quality?
Yeah, it really is. It's it's the same thing that gives Yoshi's Island or Street Fighter 2 kind of that animated look of that era that doesn't really age.
For us, at least.
For us, yeah. And that is the 5. It was kind of tough because there's a lot of games on there that I wanted to put on. I'm a huge strategy and simulation fan, so like Civilization or Warcraft or SimCity or Roller Coaster Tycoon. Like, those are all games that I play a whole lot. And I think strategy games, I'm more of a strategy gamer than an RPG gamer, but the RPGs have such a profound, a much better story and impact that I think they're higher on the list of a single playthrough. But because strategy games are something you can play over and over and over again, that's the game that I end up gravitating to more than any other genre.
And those two genres blend quite often too. So
yeah,
that's nice. If you kind of like one, because I like RPGs, and I usually get wrapped up into strategy games because of RPG elements that are in them.
Right. I mean, you can just tell off of the past year of gaming. This past 6 months, it's been Heroes of the Storm, just a kind of a real-time strategy, a turn-based, not turn-based, a team-based one, which is something I've never played, the MOBAs. And then before that, I was in Blood Bowl for a good 6 to 8 months, just playing it every single night and putting hundreds of hours into that game because it just kind of...
That's nuts.
Ruby Baron, Paul Kluhl's favorite game, Blood Bowl.
You're the only person I've heard talk about enjoying that game. Like, everybody else that I hear curses that game into the fucking dust.
Oh, yeah. It's brutal. You just have to be willing to see your best characters die permanently and be fine with it.
You have to be Tyler Durden.
It's football, George R.R. Martin. Okay, I get it.
Yeah, but it's kind of ticks all those little things in me of the strategy element, and your players level up, so it's got that role playing element in there, and it's turn based, and it's kind of like chess. And I was a member of the chess team in middle school, so it just all the Phil check marks. The boxes, it just kind of checks.
Well, because you like chess so much, Phil, that then I have to ask, how old were you when you had your first kiss?
Oh, that's the sweetest question I think you've ever asked on an interview.
I'm gonna Phil. I'm gonna put the frog in the water and you turn the water on slowly, so he don't even notices he's boiling to death. I started the questions low and sweet and build, so he doesn't even know he's ruining his future.
When's the first time you fingered a tub of caramel?
It was all the same night, to be honest.
Man, things move fast.
I think it was either 16 or 17. It was my junior year date to the homecoming dance.
Okay. Were you at the dance when this happened, or was it afterward?
No, this was dropping her off at her house.
Okay.
Kiss on the doorstep type thing.
How was that?
Short and sweet, I guess. Very, very Puritan, kind of a slightly more than a peck on the lips. Definitely not anything.
No tongue?
Adventurous. No tongue.
When did that happen? When was the first time you had your first French kiss?
Here, we start boiling.
Yep.
The heat's coming on.
Senior year of high school.
Okay.
I think just that's when I started becoming slightly more comfortable with myself as a person and becoming less afraid of women. So I started being a little bit more forward with pursuing my interests as a mate.
Do you like a lot of tongue or a little tongue?
Little.
Just a little?
I don't like a lot. It's too intrusive.
Tongue in moderation.
Yeah.
I like a lot. I like a lot.
Yeah, you like a lot?
Yeah. I like it a lot and have it aggressive.
Just like in there?
Yeah, just put it in there. It's fine. Yeah.
Leave it in there?
It's fine. I'll play with it. It's fine. It's not a big deal. So when did you let's see. What's your most hated game, Phil?
I did not expect you to go that direction.
Let me waffle back. I need to percolate on the sex stuff, so let's go back to games for a second.
It's like, all right, this guy has no sex stories. So, most hated game. I couldn't think of a most hated, so I went with a most disappointing game, which was J.R.R. Tolkien's The Lord of the Rings Volume 1 for the Super Nintendo.
You requested that early in one of your first 5-star reviews, didn't you?
That was, I think, on the Steam group when you guys first set it up.
Okay.
We're still doing we're Super Nintendo games, and I recommended that. And that was it was like middle school, like at the height of my Tolkien fantasy craze when I was first reading the books over and over and over again, and had not been disappointed by games based on intellectual properties. So bought this game from a used game store, and expecting all the greatness and majesty that would come with playing my favorite fantasy franchise. And this is obviously before the Lord of the Rings movies, so there wasn't any sort of Lord of the Rings video game properties that you could go out and find. This was rare, and it's mediocre. It's been a while since I've played it, and it's probably got some things going for it, but
the last time I played it did not. It was terrible.
I've never played it.
I rented it before I knew what Lord of the Rings was.
Yeah.
I put it in. I was like, what the fuck is this?
Is it a strategy game or what is it?
It's an action RPG, I guess.
It's a party-based action RPG.
It's bad.
So it's like Gauntlet kind of thing? Or?
All the hobbits look like Q-tips.
Oh, well, that's just what they look like. If you actually read the text. He uses the term cotton swab, but
here's the thing: it's party based, but you guys played Secret of Mana, and it's unlike that where you have a leader and you have your party follows you and that they will attack automatically. In this, your party moves when you move right. Everyone, all 9 characters in the party moves right.
All 9 characters? Is that what you said?
There are 9 members of
it's the Fellowship.
So they're not taking any shortcuts.
they start you out with just you and Sam, Frodo and Sam, and then you find characters along the way. But it's so brutally hard to find and get characters that I was never able to get there. But
so they follow the storyline, but not really, because you can skip characters.
Really. They took a page out of Peter Jackson's book because they stopped it.
No Tom Bombadil
after Moria.
Gotcha.
It's volume 1 for a reason. It's because they were expecting to have a volume 2 that never came out. So you get half of a Lord of the Rings game in this one.
It's good. Good reason for it.
And it's got a password system. It's an RPG where the password system is 36 characters, and it's got a 12-character inventory password because you have like an inventory of like Zelda proportions. You have like 40 different items you can get and hold on to, and there has to be a password combination for every combination of possible inventory you have. And if you get one of those 48 characters wrong, you just wasted your game. So it was a broken mess of a game that's playable, but not much. And I think it's got the biggest gap between expectations and reality.
So we'll get $2 out
Yeah,
of you when
let's
we
say
do
there's
that
another
game.
50 cents we can get from Phil. All right, we're making notes on how we can maximize our profits from you,
Yeah.
Phil.
And I still own it, so I can put that in and play. I am a media hoarder, and
me
just
too.
keep all my old Nintendo, Super Nintendo, PlayStation, VHS tapes, DVDs. Like it's hard to let go of anything.
I have turned into hoarding digital media. I still have plenty of physical media, but it dwarfs my digital media because I have multiple 2 to 4 terabyte hard drives just like lined up on my shelf where I just get media and just put it up there. I don't care what it is. Sure, I'm never going to watch. Sure, get it, put it up there. Okay, fine.
I have that same kind of attitude. It was when all the Blockbusters were going out of business, and you could go out and to used media stores and buy VHS tapes for $0.25 a piece, and it didn't matter if they were shitty or not. If it had an interesting premise or a funny or a stupid premise. If it's got Treat Williams on the cover, I'll buy it. It's $0.25. That's a very good economy for 90 minutes.
The 90s
worth
version of
entertainment.
the Steam. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I probably had around 600 to 800 VHS tapes when I moved this past summer, and had to
Wow.
finally cold about a third of them, just because it's a wall of really dense, heavy
Snakes were setting
tapes.
up. Snakes and spiders were setting up homes in them. I
Yeah.
bought Hercules at Sam Goody for like $15 when they went out of business. And that was like a $60, $70 DVD set.
Oh, the TV series
Yeah,
you bought?
yeah.
Awesome. Do you have that still?
Nope. I took all of my DVDs and I went to a bookstore in Nashville and I sold them all.
That's right, I forgot
And got
about
decent, way more profit than I thought out of them. So, but Phil, are you religious in any way?
No, I would characterize myself as agnostic. in that.
Were you raised any religious way?
Yeah, my mom would have us, I think probably up till I was around 10 or 11, Sunday morning church every day, or every Sunday. Beaver Creek United Church of Christ was the church. So, not Church of Christ.
Sorry,
United
I
Church
love
of
to anybody at the Church of Christ listening to this, but
We'll Yoshi that.
I'm in the area where Church of Christ. It was like Benton and Marshall County is like Church of Christ and the Baptists were like the North and South in the Civil War, like all throughout growing up. So like people say Church of Christ, and I just remember being berated by them. Same for Southern Baptists. It's like I don't have a love for both any side. So,
Well, what I didn't learn until much later, I think, is that the Church of Christ and the United Church of Christ are two completely different things. And one, I think the Church of Christ is really, really conservative, and United Church of Christ is, fairly liberal. And yeah, I didn't know it, but I've definitely had that reaction before of just Church of Christ. That's what you go to. That's crazy. But no, it's.
so you weren't carrying any religious guilt into your sexual explorations.
No, just pure teenage awkwardness that really persisted through my teenage years until my 20s. And it's, you've heard me on the mics. I'm still, got a lot of teenage awkwardness to me, but whatever.
I don't think so.
That's that Hawkins charm we like.
Yeah.
I did. So while I wasn't really religious, it's not like something that I rejected, and I still had friends that went, and I went to a church camp every single summer until I was in high school, and was a assistant church camp counselor there as well for a couple summers, just because fucking church camp is fun. Like capture the flag out in the woods, and hanging out in cabins with a bunch of guys. Church camp was fun. I wish all church was like that.
Because here's a bit of knowledge for you, Phil. Because you say like you have that weird teenage awkwardness and thing element to you. Out of everyone that I met out of TADPOG, you were the first person. For some reason, I was immediately comfortable with you. I had no problem treating you like I knew you, like I actually knew you for a lot longer than I did. I can't put my finger on why, but I did.
It's that charm. I've forced my friendship upon people when I like them, which I kind of did with you guys. Of just, I like your guys' show. I'm gonna call all the time and be really weird on the phone and put strange photoshops online and just really, really dedicate myself to these two 30-year-old guys who run a show in their spare time when they're not working.
Well, see, I feel like I freaked you out that one day I was bored and liked everything on your Facebook.
That's a hobby of Tyler's, by the way. I'm sure you found out.
That is super funny to me, and I don't know why. But I feel like it freaked you out. Like you made a comment like, if you like everything, then you like nothing, Tyler. So then I went through and I unliked everything on your Facebook group. So the stuff that you had commented on then looked silly. Because like I went through and I liked and like commented on like the day you were born post on Facebook, and you posted like, finally someone appreciates this. So then I deleted that and unliked it. So it's just you saying finally.
I did not know that. That's probably a really funny joke for like two people.
You and
Me and your mom really appreciate that joke.
Because that's actually one of my hobbies is to look at all my Facebook friends and see when they were born. That's what I do in my spare time. Just see when they were born.
That's what I did to Chandra the other day. She made a comment. She posted something from Tumblr. I can always depend on Chandra multiple times per day to like cull through what's actually funny on Tumblr and repost it on Facebook.
Yeah.
And she posted something about
resource.
Carrying a grudge for like 20 years. So I was like, I want to make a joke about this, but I don't know how old she is. I'm going to look through her Facebook, find out how old. Okay. You've been mad at somebody for over 8 years because she's 28. Okay, good. Thank you, Facebook, for me being able to take this information that, she didn't give me. So, but I also feel like Micah is the first fan we didn't know, but Mike and I have a friend in common. At least we have a Kevin Bacon connection. So I feel like you're probably our first fan that like we had zero friends or anything like that in common with.
I want to make that connection though, because I bet we do. Like, I bet we could trace
in 7
ourselves.
steps. Can we see if we know?
Oh,
Phil?
yeah, absolutely. I think we could probably do it in 4 if we tried really hard.
Okay.
Well, I have a former roommate who
Name everybody you know.
Who married a woman from Cincinnati.
Okay.
I went out to Cincinnati for their wedding 2 years ago. So I bet through her, she probably has some connections in the Kentucky area.
I used to live in Lexington, which is just across the river. So
I flew into Lexington. So, yep.
So we got to have...
Oh, your cousin lives in Nashville.
Yeah, but she just recently moved out there. And honestly, I'm not sure. I think her husband is from Montana. I'm not sure why they moved out to Nashville. So they don't have any connections out there.
I could see going from Montana to Nashville. I can understand that.
Montana, certainly. But, Oregon, why would you leave here? It's awesome.
Because you've never left Oregon, right?
No. For 3 or 4 years, I went to school in Washington State.
Okay,
Tacoma.
so you have left. Okay. Because you mentioned that on Facebook, and I was like, are you like Charlie from It's Always Sunny? Like, he's never left Philadelphia. So Phil just never left Oregon. If you come visit, we have to drug you and put you on a U-Haul, and then you'll wake up here.
I've lived up and down Oregon. Like, I haven't lived in the same spot. But really, it's kind of in that Willamette Valley corridor of... Portland, Salem, and Eugene is where I've lived for 90% of my life.
Because I'd wager my dad has lived his entire life in the same 30-mile radius.
It's like a rabbit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. He populates all over the place. My dad just spreads his seed in this 30-mile range. Like my parents this week, they're gone on a cruise to the Bahamas. Like my mom is the youngest of 4 siblings. And they all just, like my uncle decided like, let's all go on a cruise together.
Yeah.
Let's all do this. Because my aunt, my oldest aunt, her husband died 6 months to a year ago, maybe. And like she's had a hard time dealing with that. And they just wanted to go on a cruise. And she visited her granddaughter once in Texas. And she went to St. Louis of the Arch one time. She is 68. And other than that, she's never left Livingston County. So, like, her going for a week on a cruise, man, she flipped out at this prospect. Flipped out. Like, my mom had to go help her pack and explain why she wouldn't want to take certain things.
Did they, like, what was, like, how did they convince her? Was it like, okay, It's okay. You're on a boat. You look out and you see absolutely nothing. Just like in Livingston County.
She brought that. She freaked out. She's like, I can't imagine not being able to see land. That makes me really uncomfortable.
She's like the Dothraki.
Exactly. I can't cross the Livingston Sea.
I can't drive a Buick on it. Then I can't. No.
And for like 40 years, I think she was like a bus driver for the county. So like Livingston County is really all she knows.
Yeah.
So, forget why I brought that up. Because she hasn't left the small area. So,
I get around. We do a lot of family vacations.
You do a lot of hiking. Like you're out and about.
See, that's funny because I don't think I do much hiking, and I'm sure my wife.
You do infinitely more hiking than I do.
Yeah.
Well, when we first
0 to 1 is infinitely more hiking.
Most recently, when we first started playing D&D with Dave, Bulbasaur is really, really into it. Sorry, I used her name there.
We didn't do it. Not me.
She did not want me to use her name.
Well, Tyler's going to write down the time, it looks like. We'll Yoshi that out.
Which is funny. You can hear it in other ones, but whatever.
No, we've drawn way too much attention to it.
It's good. So Phil telling us before the episode, that'll be the stinger. So it'll be fine.
But no, she's really gotten into D&D. But when I first proposed it to her, it was something I had to kind of talk her into. And I had promised that I will go on an equal number of hikes on the weekends as you play sessions. And so every weekend we would plan a hike to a different part in Oregon. And
she's just really outdoorsy?
Yeah, she's really, really outdoorsy. We're so polar opposites. It's stupid. She loves being outside. I love the nice, cool, warm, just comforts of indoor living.
So you're a very skilled lover.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe. I've only.
We'll hold. Go ask her.
One person in my life. She says I'm a skilled lover, but I really have no basis of comparison. So
just choose to believe her.
Mm-hmm,
don't question it. I have a question for you, Phil.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, which Look Who's Talking movie is the best?
I'd probably go with one.
Now?
But
Look Who's Talking Now.
The dogs?
Yeah, the dogs. You gotta go the dogs.
That's a franchise that I probably actually own the Look Who's Talking movies, but
I assumed that you did. That's why I asked.
Other than video games, what are other hobbies that you have? That besides hiking as well.
Right.
Oh, other hobbies that I have besides video games. That's a tough one.
Frog and Toad fan fiction.
Yeah, Frog and Toad fan fiction. Some artwork. I like to do. Just I've always been a little bit of an artist, dabbling in drawing and doodling, and I've started getting back into that a little bit more recently. Board games, tabletop games. That's another thing in the past 5-6 years that I've really kind of enjoyed the renaissance of tabletop gaming, and it's something that I've never experienced. Growing up, a board game was something made by Milton Bradley.
Right.
It was Monopoly or Battleship or Clue.
No Parker Brothers allowed in your house. We're a Bradley household.
When you brought up your wife, so we don't want to say her name, so we'll give her a code name. She likes to hike, so she's clearly a plant type, so I'm going to call her Bulbasaur. So after you married Bulbasaur, when you told me that she had read all the Wheel of Time books, I was like, excellent. So because my game has been over for some time, and I was getting the itch to run something. I was like, I'll do something short. Maybe I'll do a Wheel of Time game. I'd like some people who have read the fiction who will know somewhat. I want at least one, maybe two people who know at least what's going on in the world. And I was like, okay, I'll ask Bulbasaur. So in the 6 words we've ever exchanged, I told her about it. She's like, oh, that sounds great. I've read the series. I remember nothing about it. Like whenever I said Aes Sedai, it took her 20 minutes to respond. Where she's like, "Oh yeah, okay, that major concept of the book. Okay, I vaguely remember that." I was like, "Okay, all right."
Yeah, so that's her mutant power, is to be able to absorb media and completely forget about it like weeks later. And it can be with stuff that she's seen multiple times. Like we'll be sitting down watching an episode of Futurama or The Simpsons, and I can personally remember times where she's laughed at a joke, and I know I've seen the same kind of episode a dozen times or more, and it can be fairly fresh to her. Like it's the gags still come at her at unexpected points, and she gets belly laughs out of things I know she's seen in the past.
In that respect, it's a gift.
Yeah. Keep her off Reddit, and you stay on Reddit, and you're the funniest motherfucker for the rest of the time. Great. But I remember...
But yeah,
go ahead.
No, I'm done.
No, because I suppose... I imagine everybody... We've never asked the question, and I don't want to ask the question. I never want anybody else to ask the question.
How big's your wiener?
How big's your wiener? that question's been asked. Dennis asks that. Whether their preferred host be either me or Dave. But I feel like Bulbasaur is squarely in Dave's corner. Because after talking shortly about running this game with her, it was pretty clear that she was also like, I just want Dave to be my DM. It's fine. I don't really like. No, it's good. Just him. Just him's fine. I don't know what you're gonna do. Like you're the weird host. I'll just stick with Dave. It's fine. It's fine. Thank you very much. But I'm fine.
You're the one who rubs cum in people's carpets.
It's true.
So in that respect, yeah.
Well, I get you're not inviting me over to your house, but.
Look, we just had laminate put in. If you could just wait a couple months before coming over, that would be cool.
What is eating through this corner of the house? Me just eating pineapples and jerking off in your house.
Well, that's the pineapple spirit.
I gotta raise the acidity level and the flavor. So I'm just gonna rub it in here to see how long it takes to discolor.
How's that taste, Floor?
An area in the corner that's not totally visible, but the sun also shines directly on it. This is science, Tony. How long would that take? What's the normal pH of semen? How much can I raise it by eating pineapple? How long will it take to wear through the first layer finish on a hardwood floor?
And what do the effects of sunlight have on it?
Discoloring. Like all my Jones soda bottles behind me. Like, sunlight just fucks shit up. So
yeah.
So Phil, I mean you like Tadpog. But we brushed a little bit during A Week of Garfield that you'd found us randomly because you liked the art, and then you got into it. And you're one of the first people that I'd heard that would listen multiple times to the episodes.
Yeah, and I don't anymore. I don't have.
Yeah, we went from 40 to 50 minutes to between an hour and a half to 2 hours per episode.
Yeah, even I don't like you guys that much.
Noted.
I mean, there is times where I will be listening to you guys a lot and just kind of take a step back from the situation and realize the oddity of this relationship that I have created, where I've kind of known two public figures through this radio program, this internet program that until recently didn't really have any.
You're referring to Kathy Figley, of course, right?
Yeah.
Mr. and Mrs. Figley.
But it's weird having your day-to-day life be narrated by two people with whom you have no connection with outside of tenuous internet bonds, and
I wouldn't say they're tenuous. I consider you a friend now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, a year or two ago it wasn't though, and I was listening to I would go through the catalog of Tadpog shows, 70 episodes, and then start back at one and listen to them again, and then start back at one, listen to them again, and I've probably listened to your first 150 shows 3 or 4 times a piece. And it's just something that I do with media, is if I find something I like, be it a podcast or a book, I will consume it and then consume it and consume it and just kind of memorize it until it's something that I know by heart. So
you are by far the foremost authority for me to ask this to then. So over the course of Tadpog, How has it changed in ways that you like? Or are there bits or parts that you wish would come back, be featured more, something like that? How has the show changed that you don't like? And what can we do to make it better, in your opinion?
Honestly, I like.
We're not going to get butthurt no matter what you say.
Yeah. Is this in your notes? Is this in the 6 pages notes?
This is where Dave is underlined, has to go.
But Bulbasaur's too into it. I get it. It's fine.
I like that it's not fettered to a 60-minute time limit. It's nice to be able to have 30 to 45 minutes more on the episodes because I like the show so much.
We were nervous about that for a while.
Yeah, and I'm in a situation where I've got a half-hour drive to work every day, there and back, so, I can listen to an hour of podcast every day and be fine. And then, I cover high school athletic games, so I'm at a game for 2 hours, and I'm listening to a podcast there. So I end up listening to a lot. So when you guys bumped it up, when I see a 2-hour episode, I'm like, hot dog, I've got something to listen to for a full wrestling meet. But that's great. I think I preferred it more when you stuck with the 16-bit era games. I've mentioned this to you guys that I didn't experience the N64 and don't really have any ties to it. So, I still enjoy the program because you guys do a very good product, but I didn't really care about Conker's Bad Fur Day or Mortal Kombat Trilogy or anything on that.
We
didn't either.
You're not alone.
So it worked out.
It just... I felt bad for you guys having to do these games that you did not like.
It changed how we do things. So
yeah,
that and Leather Goddesses of Phobos. Those two, the N64 list and Leather Goddess of Phobos.
We'll put at least 24 hours to a plan as opposed to 5 minutes. That's fine.
Although the little bit of redemption to Phobos is that game I hear is referenced in The Martian. So I got a few messages from people where it's like, oh, I knew what this game was because of the show. Like, great.
You're welcome.
There you go.
Welcome. Matt Damon. We talked to Matt Damon about it. It's fine.
We were consultants for the movie.
So I totally support your quest to do all 700 some odd Super Nintendo games because that's just right in my niche. Yeah, it's nuts, but you can do it.
Starting with the Lord of the Rings, Volume
1. But you ask how I think the show could get better. Honestly, create a business model. I mean, you guys want to be doing this full time for a living, and I think that's going to take a great deal of planning to make this something that you can turn into an actual business that you don't have to do as a side project. And I don't know what that planning is. I'll leave that to you guys, but you've got this loyal base of listeners of, I think you said you got like 3,000 listeners per episode, give or take. And I think that's a great base to start out. And I don't know how you get to, 30,000 listeners, what that jump is to make this thing go, get big, get just really, really big so that your Patreon money can sustain you guys as a form of living. But I would like to see that happen. I think you guys have a very good show that you guys have obviously put a lot of time and dedication into and put a lot of work into making it a good product that sounds good, that is consistently entertaining. And yeah, my biggest fear in life is losing my son, but second is losing TADPOG. So I'd hate to see you guys go off the air just all of a sudden because you decided, fuck, I'm tired of this. But
now, only if we die will it be gone all of a sudden.
Yeah, that's the thing, is listening to you guys.
We don't travel together. We don't ride the same planes, ride the same cars anymore. So,
but listening to you guys for 3 years and knowing how obsessive Tyler, you in particular, can get over a singular idea, like playing Final Fantasy III until every single character is level 99 and has maxed out stats, and you've established that you have this personality that is determined when you have a goal. So I've over time I've lost that kind of anxiety that one day you guys will decide, I think I've had enough TADPOG and just kind of hang up the microphones for good. So I know you'll be doing this for a long time.
You're a good interviewee, aren't you?
Am I?
Yeah. I think that you are, like, and I mean for like a job interview, because it's like, give us something that you don't like about the show, and you're like, make us feel good.
Notes. I got notes.
We have a lot of plans we've discussed briefly back and forth. So there's stuff in the works.
Plans and air quotes, I think,
Yeah.
is probably a good way of putting it. No, we don't have a business model at all.
I mean, we've met with Nicole on some stuff as our business advisor.
Yeah.
So like we've been batting stuff around, and we have intention to sit down and actually figure some shit out and register TADPOG and some shit like that to do. But
and make a financial grab at the asshole who has the TADPOG Twitter handle.
I'm curious if I could wrest that from his hands. I don't know if it's been used recently, but I have heard this thing where you can contact Twitter and be like, hey, we're like a legitimate thing, and this person hasn't done anything with it. But I don't want to change it at this point.
yeah.
So
Because then we have to get everybody back on.
yeah, fuck that. I like the underscore. Embrace the underscore. It's my motto in life.
But thank you for doing this, though, Phil.
Oh, absolutely.
We appreciate it.
It's something I've been looking forward to doing. It's been fun. It's been a lot of fun.
What's left in your notes that we didn't cover? Just read them off real quick, verbatim in the flattest tone you can.
It's interesting to me because I did have something that I want to talk about. Just I'm not normally an obsessive fanboy type person, and I think the reason why this draws it out of me is because I identify with what you guys do quite a bit. I've had several blogs up and tried to do an online entertainment website where I write and I kind of put myself out there to get other people to have a good time and read what I write and enjoy it. And I've never had the dedication to do it for like more than 6 months, and I've always fall off and stop doing it. And so when I see you guys doing this, and you're both my age, you're both 30 and 32, right around that age, and
thank you, Phil.
you both don't have any.
Yeah, you're way off, but thank you.
You're between me, so I think Dave, you're 33, Tyler, you're 31.
That works for me.
I am 31.
Dave's like Ned Flanders. He's actually 60.
Yeah, yep.
I am 35.
You're
Dave,
35.
I am. Then you sounded disgusted. 35.
My notes are wrong. It says you're 33.
Yeah.
if you look behind the cloak, you'll actually figure out Dave's actually my dad that we always talk about.
I will be 35 this year. I'm currently 34.
Okay. That's a little bit better, but
I'm also to the age where I do not remember how old I am.
yeah. I think that starts at like 31. Once you hit your 30s, you just don't give a shit anymore.
Well, I give a shit. It's just I don't want to be reminded every day how old I am.
And Nicole's already hit that point, and she's still in her mid 20s.
23.
Yeah. She'll be like a friend of mine who was 29. He's now 32. But when he was 29, that entire year, he would not let anyone refer to him as 29. He's like, no. I am in my mid to late 20s. Like, I'm not 29. I'm still in my mid to late 20s.
But
Which, I mean,
we just get better with age, so it's fine. It's okay that we're older.
Define better.
I think generally people think we get better looking as we get older.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, there is that tipping point, but
my body definitely doesn't look better than it used to.
that's why you always wear clothes. You don't go to the beach or anything. You play it smart.
I do typically wear clothes.
You put on a suit and you walk around. Like you don't like if you're a young man, you show off your body. Otherwise, you just show off your distinguished face with the nice clothes.
On the beach.
Yeah, on the beach.
It's fine.
Or if you got a shitty body and no nice clothes, you grow a beard.
I'm listening. I can't do that.
You're screwed, Dave.
I know. Trust me. I realize.
Dave, you're almost 35 and you still have a lustrous full head of hair. So you're pretty solid.
I do have hair for now. I'll keep my fingers crossed. It's turning white rapidly.
I think that's awesome.
Yeah.
I think that's only going to do better things for you. I think you will look good as a silver fox.
I'm gonna Steve Martin it up.
That'd be awesome. Yeah. Man, that'd be awesome.
Tell you what, the silver hair, it's an awesome thing, Dave. and Tyler, both. You guys should get it.
I'm ready to go salt and paprika. Ready for it.
I've always been kind of annoyed that they don't have a just for men type brand of hair coloring that turns you gray.
Because I know, well, they do have like some kind of like natural coloring that's supposed to have like some in it or something like that, so it doesn't look like. Because I know my dad uses just for men on his mustache. Otherwise, it would be completely gray.
Yeah, I don't know. It's particularly for me when I come doing like Halloween costumes or Christmas. If I want to dress up like Santa Claus, I've got this big beard, but I've got nothing that can turn it white or gray. So I'm kind of shit out of luck, I guess. You hear that, Just for Men? Get them as a sponsor. you will sponsor your Just for Gray men's hair product.
So Just for Men hair dye, and I don't even know who makes caramel dip, but we'll track them down.
Well, Lucerne is the Safeway brand. So yeah, there we go. It's fine.
Do you remember that because of a Lucerne hammer?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I get it. I do. Because I remember going in D.C. when Safeway was what all the grocery stores were like, hey, all right, Lucerne, I remember this. All right. It's a D&D weapon that Dave fucked shit up with. All right. Anything else, Phil?
Notes and notes and notes. No, I think I'm good.
Well, then I have to ask, what is our theme song?
Moves by Sycamore Drive. I don't got a joke prepared this time.
It's okay. It's all right.
Neither do we.
That's right. Yeah, I mean, that joke will always be funny to Bulbasaur, though. Every time she hears it, like, oak tree? That's good. Oh, man.
Well, see, I like going the opposite, or going my own route and having the just name a band in a name, like "Hey Ya" by Outkast. That can be your theme song. You can get Outkast as your in-house band. That's how you should make a better business model.
God, I
Get an
wish.
in-house band.
I wish we could get Outcast.
I wish Andre 3000 would leave me alone about it, but fine.
Tyler, we need to collaborate. Corroborate.
Am I right? Because I just pulled out a name.
Yeah, you got it.
All right, good.
It's Andre 3000 and Big Boy.
Yep.
I would not have gotten that. Big Boy to me is a restaurant chain. So
It's the same person.
Yeah. They wear the same outfit and everything.
I will say, Dave, I am totally fine with you co-opting the YouTube comments presented by Phil's wife's money.
Good. I've done it anyway.
You should you should don't do it by Phil's wife's money. Just pick a random patron, and it'll be by a different patron every single week.
Just for men.
Yeah.
All right, I like that idea.
That's a good idea.
Just for men, if they put $1 in.
They better put in more than $1. We need some Andre 3000 money. Just for Men can hook us up with that, I think.
Well, thanks for listening, everybody. You can find the show on iTunes, Stitcher, and SoundCloud. So don't miss the next episode. I did have a request that we start talking more about the games that we're going to play because people want to know and play them before they listen.
I
know, Phil, you do that,
too.
and I got more messages about that. So on the docket to play, I always say subject to change because shit happens.
Yeah, we have to say that.
On the docket is Clock Tower for the SNES.
Yep.
I'm not familiar with that.
It's one of the first survival horror games, right?
Yeah.
Early survival horror. So, but we still need iTunes reviews. It's the biggest marketplace. So please find us on iTunes, subscribe, give the show 5 stars, and write a review. So if there's a game you want us to play, a guest host you want from an episode, something you want us to do for a Patreon special, put that in there. I promise, whatever you put, we will get to that. Eventually.
Don't worry, guys. Like Tyler said, we're going to be back. We're going to be talking about some stuff, probably Clock Tower. In the meantime, you can always find us on tadpog.com. That's where the show notes live. I'm going to try to find at least one clip from Wild's Orgy 6. I do not know if I'm going to be able to locate that, but I'm going to try. You can also find us. Yeah,
I have looked for Action Volume 10 online, and I cannot find it. Like
that has to be like a code name.
Well, that's what
lost.
he called it. He called all action sets, and this is the 10th VHS that he had.
You can also find us on Facebook. We are at facebook.com/tadpog. There's a lot of cool people doing a lot of cool shit. Hey, this is where I learned on our Facebook page for the comments for the DuckTales episode, everybody in the world knows what spats are, except for you and me, Tyler.
Yep.
Because so many people let us know that Scrooge McDuck.
Did they, or did they look it up and then pass it off like they knew what it was?
I'm shrugging over here. I don't know the answer to that. But what's important is they let us know regardless. So now I know. And
didn't check the already existing notes to see if anybody else had already told us.
It just stacks of comments where it's like, these are spats. Here's a link. You uneducated motherfucks. So thanks for letting us know what spats are. If you let us know what you think of Phil, he'll be looking.
give us whatever your opinions are about Phil.
Yeah, rate Phil on a beard scale, if you could, please.
Do you want to kill this tenuous a bit of confidence that I've built over the past? I'm finally starting to feel comfortable, talking in front of a public audience, and you give people the chance to just shit on me mercilessly.
We've put him on Tinder, so just tell us what you think. Which way did you swipe?
Phil, I've heard good things about you. Just so you know.
That Bulbasaur.
You can fuck a Bulbasaur like no one's business. The Bulbasaur has never been more pleased.
That's a callback to the Marry Fuck Kill for the original Pokemon.
Yeah.
The one that made Miller throw up in his mouth.
I think that was Rhythm Master Paul Cord. Yeah, I think that was his first submission. You can also find us on Twitter. We are at TADPOG_podcast. It's cumbersome. I realize I'm learning to embrace the underscore. At this point, I love it. I don't know what I would do without the underscore. Thank you for everybody who retweets us, especially our episode announcements, because that helps spread the word. We've been getting a lot of those, and a lot of new ones, and a lot of new favorites on Twitter. So thank you very much for that. You can call us if you want. We do an all-call show every month. Those have been coming in more recently, so that's awesome. Thank you for doing that. If you want to get something in before we record our next all-call show, give us a call at 270-883-2555. You can also text us. I promise I will fuck up whatever you send. We got a Patreon, which has been mentioned. So if you're listening just for men, there you go. You can find us at patreon.com/tadpog. Thank you very, very much to everybody who already donates. That is incredible. And hopefully that'll continue to grow. I have a few people to thank who recently pledged. Thank you, Brett Miller, for your pledge. Thank you, Addison Webb, for your pledge. Phil Hawkins, thank you for upping your pledge. And we'll be looking tomorrow to see that 50 cents go up. And thank you, Paul Anderson, for upping your pledge as well.
We also, if you want us, quickest way is probably, I guess, Patreon. Like, I'll bump it up if you do this. Well, if I can get on that real fucking quick.
Right.
But other than that, the other quickest way is to fill up Nicole's box with it. So if there's a game or food you want us to try or whatever.
Put it in there.
Just fill it up. Put it in there. So anything you want to send us, please.
Send to action number 10.
Tadpog Studios, care of Nicole Nance, P.O. Box 3785, Paducah, Kentucky 42002. Phil, how you want to close this one out?
Phil Hawkins' alter ego, Sean Connery.
All right.
Okay. So until next time... Tropical Capricorn.
Tropical Capricorn.
I've never done one. I've never done that before. That's the first time I tried that one.
I feel like we all
It's
kind of
tough
like...
because there's no S's, and it's really the SH.
My thing about walking into there is that I would always know like 4 or 5 of the strippers. Because sometimes they would try to,
Work at Hooters?
moonlight at the old Hooters.